think events like this are so important, bringing people together to talk about death in a non-threatening, friendly, relaxed way that allows people to think about their own death and to talk about difficult deaths and come to terms with them.
We're the curators of the Before I Die Festival in Cardiff in York, a festival of theatre, film, music, photography and visual art designed to promote public discussion of ideas. And it's part of an international movement to engage people in discussion around how we manage death and dying, and also reflections on our own mortality, grief and loss, and planning for the future.
There's the old maxim that there are two certainties in life, that are death and taxes, so we need to make sure that we are talking about it at any age, because young people die, old people die. It's more common to do it old, but actually everyone should have that discussion.
So the festivals have hosted dozens of events, including information and insights into issues like funeral planning, wills, lasting power of attorneys, advanced decisions, and organ donation and whole body donation.
That was the first thing that happened, was a feeling of absolute wonder at the amazing biomechanical machine that we are. And I started to feel that anyone who was willing to give himself, quite literally, to give such a gift so that others could learn from it, was a very, very special human.
And we've organised debates about public issues like the treatment of patients in comas or vegetative states, and expert panels speaking for and against assisted dying.
It's really good to see people with experience of the issues up there and talking about it.
And many of the events that we've hosted have been concerned with the historical, social, cultural context of death and dying.
Years later, Emma will die, surrounded by family. She'd rather be alone.
So in York, that's included guided walks around York Cemetery. It's included poetry and music to die for, hosted by the National Centre for Early Music, which is in the beautiful medieval church of St Margaret's.
We bear the scars, faint tattoos telling stories of our lives. Some may read them, and others might have ears tuned to subtleties of our joy and grief.
And a talk about traditional Yorkshire funeral foods, including the opportunity to taste the Yorkshire funeral biscuit.
Today in particular, the Food and Death event, I thought it was great how the two talks were so different and contrasting. I mean, I'm not from Yorkshire, I'm from London, and I really wanted to know a bit more about local traditions.
And in Cardiff, we had an archaeological tour of a 6,000-year-old burial site. We had the Chapter Arts Centre showed a series of films, including a zombie movie, And the National Museum of Wales hosted the ceramicist Julian Stair with his wonderful exhibition about the containment of the human body after death.
I think the most exciting thing about the festival was the conversations that happened around the formal events. Strangers met and shared their personal stories, talked about their end-of-life wishes, their fears, their hopes around death, discovered unexpected differences of opinion and also surprising commonalities.
She was a little girl to me because she was my younger sister. But there you are, it comes and we don't know when it will come.
I think the Before I Die Festival is a brilliant idea, and I think it's really important because I think death is probably the last taboo we've got.
And that opportunity for us all to talk about death and dying is what the festival is all about.
I was so pleased to see that something had been organised, because where do you hear about these things? Where is there a forum to be able to talk and to come to terms with some of these issues?
I think the festival is really important because it's not something that ever really gets discussed. I think it's really important to be able to be less afraid of discussing it and just make it more part of normal conversation. Birth is, marriage is, why not death too?